Cornel, I want to start with you. I wonder if we aren't, and I'm asking you to criticize us, so don't hold back. Are we overcorrecting for 2016? We keep saying anything can happen. Gazillion people have voted already. The election is now.
Well, to a certain extent, I think we're cautious, and I think that's the right thing to do. But also, there may be a little overcorrection because look, 2016 was an outlier. 2016 was a fluke. And I don't think so. 2016 is more unlike what we've seen in election patterns than what it's been like. What you're seeing in the election pattern right now is, quite frankly, extraordinary. And Nicole, I was a part of I thought, a historic campaign in 2008 where we expanded the electorate. We brought in new people. We brought in and saw energy like we've never seen before. Approximately 11% of the electorate in 2008 were folks who hadn't been participating. If you look at the numbers right now, it's blowing 2008 out the door. And I think Republicans are going to look back. And if you look at the early vote, that Democrats are garnering here, I think Republicans will look back at Trump's downplaying early voting and absentee voting and mail-in voting as one of the greatest tactical errors of modern political history, because Democrats are banking so much vote right now that it's sort of hard to see how they make up for it on election day in most of these battleground states.
Cornel, I want to ask you something about that. I was told at the very beginning of the summer that Republican operatives involved in Senate campaigns were really pissed that he had gone to war against the mail-in vote, that they really relied on that for the senior vote. And in some of the states that at the beginning of the summer, saw the writing on the wall in terms of the trajectory of the pandemic. And if you look at the upper Midwest, which, Arizona is basically out of reach for Donald Trump. He really needs those. He needed, Michigan or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania to be turning his way at this point. Do you think that that he sort of shot himself in the foot on the mail-in vote?
They absolutely did. Again, I think it will be one of the greatest tactical errors of our time. Democrats are holding voting festivals. They've completely embraced the idea of have a plan and come out and vote early and absentee and mail-in ballot, but have a plan. We've embraced this strategy of banking as many votes as early as possible. And the Trump campaign and Republican apparatus has delegitimized that, and you're seeing it in the numbers all across the battleground states. I think it's going to be awfully hard for them to make up the difference on election day. And the other part, really quickly, if I can, Nicole, is when you look at the new sort of sporadic voters that are turning up, it's not that we're cannibalizing so much the traditional voters, but there's a degree of new voters there that, again, the likes of which we haven't seen since 2008. There's a real surge in energy in that voting.
Mm-hmm. It is so, it really is so important to go back to 8 for all of our parallels. The Obama coalition plus is what some of these primary nights look like, Tim Miller, for Biden. And he was just pulling in wins in states he hadn't set foot in. And some of that is sort of the comfort and the reassurance of President Obama's vice president, someone who is known. I think that's only become more appealing since he added Senator Harris to the ticket. And some of that is just this wholesale rejection of how Donald Trump has governed.
Well, absolutely, Nicole, and the rejection of Trump. And so I'll give you a little good news and then put a little bit of damper on what Cornel was saying. The good news is this. It's a little different than the Obama coalition, because it's all of these suburban former Republicans and independents who have come into the coalition, who have added to it, which is really important in a state like Arizona, like you were talking about. But it is true that though Biden is doing better than Hillary among working class white voters, he isn't back at Obama 08 numbers. And so this is one is to worry about before everybody starts doing a victory dance already 3 weeks out. If you look at the states that are going to flip the Senate and potentially the Electoral College, Iowa is a Senate seat. You've got Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania in the Electoral College already. Others in the Senate that you mentioned, South Carolina, Kansas, Montana, Alaska, a lot of working class white votes in these states. And so, while the Democrats are doing quite well, that has got to be where the focus has got to be, which is cutting into Trump's margin there and running up the number with the folks that Cornell was talking about, the voters who haven't voted before, as well as with our people, Nicole, the sort of former Republican types.
I want to ask you about the Republican senators. It would appear that this was, until very recently, an emotional and a symbolic aim. It now appears possible. Do you think Mitch McConnell is looking at minority leader status?
Look, definitely possible. If you just a quick run at the map, Arizona and Colorado are gone. Cory Gardner and Martha McSally don't even seem to be trying to win. I don't know what they're doing. Collins, I think, is probably gone. And so then you're looking at picking up a fourth seat somewhere. And that, again, it goes back to these formerly red states or traditionally red states, Iowa, North Carolina, Montana, Alaska. Can they pick up one there? It sure seems like if Biden wins as big as we think, that they'll find one and maybe more and expand on that majority. But that is where this fight is. And if I'm a Democratic, kind of operative or donor, small dollar donor watching this, I'm looking at Iowa, North Carolina, Montana, Alaska. How can we get one of these and get over the hump? Georgia also, what you showed those long lines.
Nicole, do I have time to jump in here?
I mean, no, go ahead, please. Yes.
Well, I want to underline what was been saying here. But look, if you told me 6 months, and by the way, full disclosure, I work for Jamie Harris in South Carolina. But if you told me a year ago that Jamie Harris would raise $57 million in one quarter and be in a toss-up race in South Carolina, I would say you're losing your mind. That's the sort of movement that we're seeing, and we're seeing sort of that energy on the ground around a movement. And Jamie Harris is building a campaign that is not sort of a traditional campaign. He's building a movement about that's not about sort of right versus left, but again, what Jamie talks about is right versus wrong, and just doing the right thing. And that is a refreshing and a different kind of politics. And I think that it is bringing people together from not just the left, but people together from the left and the right. And you're seeing people rally around some of these Senate Democrats that have traditionally not rallied around Democrats before, and making these states awfully competitive.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.